Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by John Donovan and Longhorn Wealth Management Group. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Tell us where you're checking in from, what you're drinking, get your questions in. We'll get to those in a little bit. We're also going to talk to Marcus Myers. But first, some congratulations are in order, mainly the Texas softball guys. They win the SEC tournament over the weekend and get awarded with a number 2 overall seed. Not too shabby.
Not shabby at all. I wrote an article this morning. You hire winners and you get winners. That's what happened with Texas in their softball program. Mike White came to Texas several years back and has made them a dominant softball program. Texas now the number 2 overall seed in the NCAA tournament after defeating Alabama in the SEC championship on Saturday. Longhorn pitcher Tegan Cavan struck out 12, was absolutely dominant in the final. If she continues that way, Jerry, and all of the pieces can help her out along the way, Longhorns have a chance to repeat as national champions because that's the best they've looked all year. Of course, other teams involved here, Alabama, who they just beat, is ranked number 1 overall, Oklahoma 3, and then you have Nebraska 4, 6 of the top 8 teams in the college World Series or college softball championships are from the SEC. 6 of 8. Tough win, and Mike White and his team won it. Congratulations to them.
I think a big thing when you look at this bracket is that super regional matchup. Wow. I mean, if everybody handles business, if the higher seeds win, it's going to be A&M at Texas in a super regional in softball, and the winner goes to the world. And I'm not saying Texas A&M for sure is going to beat Arizona State, but they're the 4, Arizona State's the 5. So if the chalk holds, then Texas A&M and the super regional to go to the World Series in Austin. It will be a little rowdy in Austin if that's the case. And that goes to the depth of the SEC too, by the way. It's a great softball conference. And, it's actually a question for the chat. In my mind, when I'm thinking about this, what sport is the most competitive in the SEC? Because football is the most talked about, but it's not. Honestly, it's not the same level as softball or baseball with as many good teams. Like, is it softball? Is it baseball? Because it's not football, and it's not. They're both good. They're both good, Bobby, but there's no chance they don't have that many teams ranked high.
I would say this, okay, it could be just as competitive. I think there are fewer good softball teams across the country than there are good football teams, maybe. So I think it's a little bit different. It's a different sport but your point's well taken. I mean, it is competitive for its sport. It's probably the most competitive. 6 of the top.
Gymnastics.
Okay, gymnastics, 6 of the top 8. Yeah. I mean, come on. Hey, not only do we want to give congratulations to Mike White and his group, we also need to say congratulations to all the graduates at the University of Texas. If you didn't see it, Colt McCoy gave the commencement speech to the University of Texas grads on Saturday evening. Good stuff from Colt. Look, I watched some of the ceremonies. There were a couple that were kind of tear jerkers. A guy that was blind walked across the stage with a degree. I mean, it's that, and I want to say this to those of you out there, not just to University of Texas grads, but anywhere they're graduating from. Congratulations! It is a moment that you'll remember forever, and have my hats off to everybody that made it through all the way for that. But we got a lot of stuff coming up today. Marcus Myers, Blake mentioned. We're going to talk top 5 quarterbacks. In top 5 quarterback seasons of Texas football in Texas football history, and see whether or not we think Arch Manning, at least from a passing standpoint, might be able to break into that this coming year. We also have some other recruiting news. Jerry's got new official visit set from a young man out near Blake, somewhere in Gunner, Texas. That's good. That's going to come in. But let's first say thank you to one of our sponsors. That is John Donovan, Longhorn Wealth Management Group. John's a proud Texas Ex's Life member who truly bleeds burnt orange. His wife and 6 siblings are all UT grads as well. So it's his family passion that led John to brand his firm UT. Longhorn Wealth Management Group, and dedicated to providing investment, retirement, insurance, and estate planning services and solutions to families and friends across the nation. John wants to send a big congrats to the UT women's softball team, and also shout out the UT men's tennis team for advancing to the Elite Eight. To celebrate both of these winning UT programs, John wants to offer every OTF member a free private consultation via Zoom, phone, or in person to allow John to show you how working with a certified financial planner can help you maximize your wealth, minimize your taxes, and ensure your legacy. To schedule your own free private consultation, just call the Longhorn Wealth team, 972-707-4900, or schedule online, www.longhornwealth.net. John and the rest of the Longhorn Wealth team send a big hook 'em to all the OTF family. Again, that's 972-707-4900. John and longhornwealth.net.
All right, guys. Well, before we get to a little recruiting, let's go ahead and bring him on in. Marcus Myers Monday. Good morning, Marcus.
What's going on, gentlemen? How y'all doing?
Good, Marcus. You doing all right this morning, bud?
Yes, sir. Not too bad, man. The weather got a little hectic here in Austin last night. But beyond that, I'm doing all right. I heard some stuff shaking for a minute. I was like, come on, man, this can't be a tornado. So, but all in all, we got a bunch of rain. Grass is loving it. So I'm here for it.
60-mile-an-hour plus winds, by the way, in Austin over the night. Recorded at the airport, by the way. It was not just a little bit. Hey, Marcus, Jerry, you want to show him and talk to him about a young man out of New Orleans that did some things on the track and field and get Marcus's feedback on this one.
Yeah, we talked last night, Rod and I, about Easton Royal, because he is the hot name around Texas recruiting right now. Some of it's because obviously state championships are at LSU and all the things that are coming with his recruitment. I think there's some showmanship in that, guys out there. But Easton Royal, it was raining. I talked to the Brother Martin track coach, and I was there Wednesday at their little very small track workout, and he knew they all knew it was going to be rough weather. But 10.17 state record, 20.84 in the 2. And obviously he says went out with a bang, and that's because this was his last track meet in high school. He's going to be a graduate next year in December. So this was it for him. He may run some AAU track, but this is his last as a Louisiana high school athlete running track. But Marcus, we had the discussion last night. We'll get to his recruitment, my thoughts on his recruitment in a second. But we had the discussion last night. How many guys are faster than Easton Royal? And I think Marcus was on the chat. And so he was thinking about it. Rod and I were pretty much reacting to it. How many recruits were faster than Easton Royal that have signed with Texas? Bobby, we came up with a Dorian McCullough.
In that category.
Jamal Charles. And then we came up with a bunch of guys that could have been, are right there. Xavier Worthy didn't have a junior track season because of COVID. And then he was an early graduate, so didn't run as a senior. So who knows what Xavier Worthy could have done in track. He ran 10.5 as a sophomore. And you just don't know where it could have gone for him. But Easton Royal, when you're up there, when you've put yourself in the category with the Dorian McCullough and Jamal Charles, maybe Montrell Flowers back in the day. I mean, those are the fastest guys that have Brennan Thompson that have ever signed with the University of Texas.
Yep.
And we'll see. Obviously, Easton Royal's recruitment goes on, but we'll talk about that in a second. But that's the category he's in now.
Brennan Thompson's 160 pounds dripping wet.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this guy ran faster than him.
Yeah.
And what did Brennan Thompson go, 3rd, 4th round in the NFL draft?
Yeah.
That gives you a sense of just how fast Easton Royal is. The other names that I had come up with, Marcus and Jerry, I had mentioned Marquise Goodwin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Marquise was not a 100-meter guy. He was a long jump, triple jump guy from the outset. But I don't know that I've ever seen anybody faster than him in a Texas uniform.
Yeah.
Really extremely fast. A guy named Tony Jones back in the day. And then you have guys like Johnny Lamb Jones, Eric Metcalf. And for those that really know Texas football, Herky Walls was a tremendous athlete back in the day as well. But I look at it, and I think that I thought about this, Jerry. Hank put this out there. I think, for me, Marquise Goodwin was the fastest in pads out of everybody. Now, I'm not talking about on the track. Marquise Goodwin also, finished in the Olympics.
Yeah.
He, Eric Metcalf, and Marquise Goodwin and Johnny Lamb Jones, the only two Olympians out of that group. And that's rarefied air for me. What did you think, Marcus?
Yeah, I mean, like Jerry said, I was in the chat and I was sending some of the track stuff to the group chat over the weekend because I think I've shared with y'all before, like track was kind of my first love. So I'm actually really excited not only to watch Eastern Royal, but then this week's state track meet is here in Austin.
Yep.
One of my best friends from high school, her daughter is a sophomore at Magnolia High School and is going to be competing in the 300 hurdles. So I'm excited to get out there and see what people are running. I was even joking with the buddy when he sent me the Eastern Royal stuff. I was like, well, one, I'm glad he's a commit of ours, but two, he wouldn't make the podium in Texas. So I think it's cool when you see guys that are that fast, but then it translates on the field as well. I definitely threw out a Dorian McCullough in there, Bobby, just because I got to see it firsthand. And oddly enough, they're kind of built similarly. Only Dorian was on the defensive side of the ball, right? But kind of more stocky guys, and so that's when it's very different. I had a chance to see Usain Bolt the first 3 times he broke the world record. I was there in person for those. And even like this one, the very first one was in New York, out on Randall's Island. And it was after a rain delay. So oddly enough, rain doesn't tend to affect them too much. They're wearing those metal spikes so they can really pick them up and put them down still. It's really only if it's raining while they're running. But I mean, he's an amazing talent. The fact that, he is at that size and still getting faster is really impressive. And, like you said, he went out with a bang. There was a video of him running anchor on their 4x1. And I think he got the baton in like 4th or 5th place and walked the guy down and ran by him. So that's the kind of thing that you like to see out of a high-end recruit like that. There's just not too many. And then really when you expand it, I even heard, kind of in the conversation y'all were having, Jerry, between you and Rod last night, when you start really projecting out into the NFL, there doesn't tend to just be a ton of burners that, are just at the tip top of, the wide receiver position in the league. Most guys are around a 4 or 5 or so. So now that you're getting this generation of athlete that's specializing more and they get an opportunity to work with all the different trainers and that kind of thing, it'll be interesting to see kind of where it goes because it just seems like these guys are getting faster and faster.
They are getting faster and faster. And I would add this. I mean, you think about the fast receivers in the NFL. You think of Tyreek Hill. That's the first one, right? I mean, world-class speed. And he kind of he changed the game a little bit. I really believe that with his deep ball from Pat Mahomes and then on with the Dolphins. What are some other guys that are doing it? Jalen Waddle does that a little bit, but he doesn't have that kind of top end. I mean, Eastern Royal legitimately has he's 200 pounds and has high end speed. I mean, the only person that has that kind of speed, I guess Tyreek Hill ran right in the 10 flats though, right?
Yeah, he ran 10.15 at 31 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's probably not his peak. Let's just say that because I mean,
All right. Hey,
I mean, like, do you have some of the smaller guys? Trendon Holiday from LSU was a 10 flat guy, right? It's like Jeffrey Demps back in the day was a 10.0.
Jacoby Ford.
I mean, running backs, Devin A-Chain. But I actually think Tyreek Hill, and you don't want to put this on a player ever, but size-wise and receiver-wise, I mean, if you say, what is the best thing if you said Eastern Roll is the best, he maximizes every ounce of his ability, that's probably the guy people would point at. And I don't think that's fair because, I mean, that's a Hall of Fame player. That's not fair to a kid in high school. But if you just look out and you say, if all these guys maximize their ability, what could they be? Eastern Royal would be that level athlete in the NFL. Now, would he be as good a player? I don't know. Long way to go. Long way to go for that.
Here's some interesting fact for you on Tyreek Hill. Not many Texas fans will remember because it came the weekend that Mac Brown was let go as coach at the University of Texas in 2013. Tyreek Hill was on an official visit to Texas when that happened.
Yeah.
He eventually signed with Oklahoma State, but he was at the University of Texas when it happened. was likely going to be a Longhorn.
Yeah.
So there's that. Lost a gold jacket on that one.
And by the way, for Tyreek Hill, his 200 was faster than his 100. And I say that joking but serious. His 10.19 was his fastest in high school in the 100, 20.14 in the 2. His 200 is missed Roy Martin's national record by 0.1.
Hey,
he was close.
Jerry, you talk about Easton Royal and his recruitment, and you felt like you wanted to share some insight there. Tell Marcus and Blake and us here what's going on there with his commitment, because Texas at 10 commitments right now. He's certainly one of them and the highest ranked among the group. LSU thinks they have a chance. Florida's been talked about. Where is his?
Florida thinks they have a chance. Yeah. I think. Look, and I was joking last night. Every time, glad for all the colleges. I'm glad he's done with track because he was running for dollars every time he put on the spikes. At this point, every time he put up a faster time, that is more. He's marketing himself from an NIL standpoint, and the more he got. And that's just the reality of the situation is every record he broke, that puts more pressure on Lane Kiffin and LSU to go make him a massive NIL offer. That's the reality of the recruitment. I think Texas is in a really good spot for him. And I think there's some showmanship involved in his recruitment. Look, he has an agent and you're building your brand and through marketing. That's going to be part of it when you're a level talent like he is and doing what he is doing. I still think, I'm not saying that's the way it's going to end, but I think heading into mid-May, I think Florida is number 2, and I think LSU is 3. Will it end that way? I'm not saying that because LSU is going to have to do everything they can, apply as much pressure as they can, but that's going to go all the way to December, even if LSU doesn't get where they want to be in June. They can't walk away. That's just going to continue. I'll tell you this from the Florida side. I talked to somebody from the Florida side. They think they have a chance, but they didn't think he will ultimately flip. So Florida thinks he's probably staying with Texas. But again, this doesn't mean anything until we get through the official visit process coming up. And that is LSU the last week of May. And then you have Ole Miss and Tennessee. And there's I'm not sure. Somebody said Ole Miss had a better chance of Florida. No chance. This kid's going to Texas, Florida, or LSU. It's going to be one of those 3. And it's been that way for the whole way through. And then, so you have Ole Miss and Tennessee in there, but then you have Florida June 12th through 14th, and you have Texas the 19th through the 21st. Those visits have been set. When he picked Texas initially, he picked Texas over Florida, not LSU. And so we'll see where it goes. That doesn't mean LSU can't come back and win the thing. It's the NIL world. But that's where Easton was at when he committed. And he had told people for a while, he told CJ and I've always just wanted to play college football in the state of Texas or in Florida. And that's the 2 it really came down to for him. But that doesn't mean LSU isn't going to do every single thing they can to keep that kid home, because there's a lot of pressure on Lane Kiffin in year 1 and LSU to keep that kid at home. It's like Rod said last night, Bobby. I don't know if you heard it. He was in Shreveport with family this weekend, and people were talking about Easton Roll that were LSU fans in Shreveport. He is that big a name in the state. He is the Leonard Fournette name in the state of Louisiana right now. That puts a lot of pressure on LSU to try to get it done. That doesn't mean they will. I think Texas is doing a great job with him. The Texas staff will be by Brother Martin either Wednesday or Thursday. I think Thursday, because this will be the last week on the road for the Texas coaches. And then they're out of days. You can't stay on the road forever. Then you're out of days, and a lot of people are wrapping up spring football this week. I think they're going to go in with every offensive coach except Steve Sarkisian, because he can't be on the road Thursday.
Well, rather than Leonard Fournette, let's say he's the Arch Manning of Louisiana.
Texas certainly hopes so.
We want the New Orleans guy that goes to Texas, not the New Orleans guy that goes to Baton Rouge. All right. Hey, Marcus, your thoughts on baseball? I know you keep up with baseball quite a bit, as well as the women's softball team. We talk with former athletes like yourself at UT all the time about how the winning atmosphere and culture permeates through the athletic department. What did you think about the play this weekend?
Well, yeah, I mean, going into the weekend, I think my eyes were most kind of directed towards softball, and so I was really glad to see Mike White and the ladies be able to pull that out. It seems like we're, postseason Tegan is starting to fully round into form, and she is somebody that I'm very glad is in the burnt orange and not somebody we have to face. I'll say that much. And so it's great that they have such a high seed and we'll be able to host here in Austin. Baseball, tripped up a little bit, but was able to kind of pull it off yesterday to salvage the weekend. Some people I think, kind of have this thought around, man, what happened? And it's like, this is the SEC, man. And granted, the coach went on to the majors, but Tennessee is still Tennessee. That's still a tough place to play. And, I think they'll be in good shape still, rounding into form, provide they can stay healthy and stuff as they, move into the SEC tournament here and get ready to look towards trying to make a run. So, it's just one of those deals where, you play so many games at some point, you're kind of get tripped up some, but I'm still comfortable where, both programs are and looking forward to see what they do in the postseason for sure.
Marcus, one other piece I'm going to ask you. It is a kind of a dead period of sorts for UT football team, UT football players right now. They come back, they're due back. Now some, and I wrote this morning, some are at home right now. They went to St. Louis or New Orleans or all parts in between, right? Houston, Dallas, wherever. And some stayed in Austin. Some went on vacation. They're due back basically May 31st.
Yeah.
And then summer school and summer workouts start. As a football player, what are you doing with these 2 weeks? Like, is it just getting your mind right? Is it getting your body fresh? Because once June starts, I mean, they're pretty much, even though we know they don't actually get in pads again until late July, early August, they're full go. Though,
yeah.
Once summer school starts.
Yeah, and beyond just full go, they're also with their coaches, right? So that's a very, drastic departure from what I experienced when I was in college. We didn't have that opportunity. We could work with the strength and conditioning guys, but it wasn't until not long after, I graduated where they had the option to be with, where the coaches had the option to be with them. So, I think it'll vary a little bit, by player. Some guys, Marcus, you look like something's going on over there, Bobby.
Yeah,
what's up?
We've got a statement. This is college football. Oh my God.
Okay.
From Pete Thamel. Statement. Mizzou football student athlete Ahmad Hardy was the victim of a shooting at a concert in Mississippi early Sunday morning and sustained a gunshot wound. Ahmad underwent surgery Sunday in Mississippi and is in stable condition.
Wow.
Again, this is an All-American, maybe the number one running back in the country. Mizzou football student athlete Ahmad Hardy was the victim of a shooting at a concert in Mississippi early Sunday morning and sustained a gunshot wound. He underwent surgery Sunday and is in stable condition. A timeline, Pete Thamel of ESPN continues, a timeline for his return to football activities is unknown at this time. Unbelievable. This is how, when we talk about graduation and kids going on with their lives, this is the kind of thing that I'm sorry to interrupt you, Marcus, but
no, you're fine, man. Absolutely.
This is not just a good player. This is one of college football's very, very best.
Yeah. That's tough, and obviously my thoughts and prayers are with him, and hoping that he has a recovery that allows him to just have a full quality of life. The football part, be damned to a degree, right? Like you hate to hear that, and honestly, that's kind of where I was going with your question, Bobby. Is like during this time, the biggest thing you're wanting to do is try to make smart decisions, and it sounds like at least from all we know to this point is he was probably in the wrong place at the wrong time. But you're thinking you're just at a concert, just enjoying some music, and something like that happens. So it's fortunate that he's stable, and the hope is that he's able to fully recover and get back to all the things that he wants to do. But that is a challenge in this time, as you have the freedom to make these kind of decisions, and just be able to spend some time that you have off before you get back to the grind, thinking that you're just kind of having a good time and something like this happens. So that's certainly terrible news, but again, happy he's in stable condition.
By the way, looking around on social media, nobody's saying where he was shot,
Where? Yeah.
on his body. So that nothing's gotten out on that at this point. If anybody sees that, because y'all can help us in the chat while we're doing the show. If anybody starts to talk about where in this body, because that is going to be a big thing for his football career, obviously, is where was this gunshot wound, and what is that going to do? What is that going to enable him to do in the future?
Yeah,
top 5 to 10 player.
Stuff.
Yeah, top 5 to 10 player in college football. Texas actually played him his freshman year when he was at Louisiana Monroe, and then transferred up to Missouri last year. Had a tremendous season for the Tigers. Texas plays Missouri later in the year in Columbia, Missouri. But to y'all's point, best wishes to him in a full recovery.
By the way, he is from Brookhaven, Mississippi, where Texas commitment Derwin Fields is from. He didn't go to high school there. He went to high school in Monticello, but he was in the same type of area. So I'm going to look around and see where this concert was that he was at. But he is from that area that Derwin Fields is from. Which I went through, guys, Friday after the tornado, and that place was tore up. Now, they didn't have school. I didn't get to see Derwin because they didn't have school. There wasn't much electricity in the town. Everybody's fine. Derwin's fine. All the football kids were fine. Some of them lived in that area where it was really bad, though. But yeah, that's where Ahmad Hardy's from, that area, that Monticello, Mississippi, Brookhaven, Mississippi area.
It's tough there.
Well,
That's tough stuff, man. That's not the way you want to interrupt the discussion. Marcus,
it's okay.
Yeah, to finish up what they're doing, explain what they start on June 1 and what really gets going, because I'm sure you took summer school and tried to navigate taking 6 hours of classes in an abbreviated or a shortened time frame, et cetera.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we always, made sure that we had some time to, play a little bit of catch up from the season, right? You're typically just taking kind of a 12-hour course load as opposed to maybe 15 like some students. And so you try to, make up for that a little bit. For me, it was always right after my birthday. So they report the day after my birthday this year, it sounds like. And so I always try to do something small to celebrate a little bit, but you are kind of trying to get your mind right. For the guys that, were a little bit banged up, they're probably fully, trying to make sure that their body is in the position for them to be able to, go full go on day one. And for some of the guys that feel a little bit more comfortable, it just helps them to blow off a little bit of steam. But when you are back in the saddle of things, it's right back to it. It's summer workouts, it's a lot of conditioning. You did most of your heavy lifting in the spring. You're still lifting, but maybe not as stringently. And I think certainly Teray Becton, in the way that he likes to train the guys, will have a plan for them. And then, like I mentioned, what's different for me that I don't have a ton of insight in, Bobby, is the types of things that they're able to do with their coaches, whether that's, watching film or, them just full on getting involved in some drills and walkthroughs and that kind of thing. And so it's just that continual build towards the season. They have to get them in the type of shape where they're able to go out there and perform during camp. And then ultimately be ready for the season, which will be here before we know it. What we're here in May. And I mean, we'll look up and in 3 months, we'll have, some real football to start talking about. So everything is kind of like the climb to that moment. And you don't want to peak too soon. So it's a lot of just preparation. And also I'll just share too, that's the time where I think most of your bonding can really take place. The spring is a little more challenging because there's still a ton of students around. You're in kind of the regular flow of things. In the summer months, you have a lot more time to spend with your teammates. And I know it's, been told time and time again, but that's really where we bonded, kind of that season or the summer prior to the national championship run. Was during that, summertime where we were able to work out. So there'll be, throwing sessions that guys will have with Arch. And hopefully if, these teams are anything like what ours were, you find a way to get the entire team involved. And I mean, we had everybody out there from, offensive and defensive line to linebacker, safeties, you name it. So you want to make sure that you find a way to get everybody involved so that, you're able to really build on a solid foundation. And it sounds like they started, portions of that earlier with their Culture Wednesdays during the spring, but you want to carry as much of that into the summer months as possible.
Marcus, thank you so much for joining us this morning, buddy.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
We'll hear you again a little bit later this week. Enjoy the Texas State track meet. I'm glad that you brought that up because that's always one of the most fun events around. Texas also hosting softball this weekend as well now.
Should be a good week. Talk to you fellas later. Have a good one.
Have a good one, Marcus. Hook 'em, Marcus.
All right. Well, I tell you what, before we move on, we need to thank a couple of our sponsors this morning. And Jerry, I'm going to let you start with the Ridge if you're ready to do so.
I can do that. I'm telling you right now, this Ridge Power Bank is one of the products you use one time and immediately go, okay, why did I not have this one sooner? Everybody has dealt with this. Your phone needs one cord. Your headphones need another. Your watch needs something different. And somehow, when you actually need a charger, it's never the right one. You end up digging through a bag with 5 different cords tangled together like Christmas lights. My gosh, that is really me reading that. Ridge fixed that. Their 5-in-1 travel power bank has built-in charging options so you can charge your phone, your Apple Watch, USB-C devices, lighting devices, and even use MagSafe wireless charging, all from one premium power bank. And it's not just convenient, it has real power behind it. You can get up to 3 full phone charges in your pocket. That is huge when you're traveling, at a game, at the airport, or just out all day and nowhere near an outlet. This thing isn't built bulky either. It's sleek, looks great, and it's exactly what you expect from Ridge. Clean, durable, premium, and built to last. And with Father's Day coming up, this is the perfect gift for Dad because it's something he will actually use. One thing to pack, 5 ways to power. For a limited time, get 40% off Ridge's huge Father's Day sale at ridge.com/ontexas. Don't miss one of their biggest discounts all year. Just head to ridge.com/ontexas and you're all set.
Good stuff. Love that power bank too. That thing is phenomenal. It really is.
I can't get over their wallets. I still like their wallet.
The wallets, the power bank, anything they make apparently is just great stuff. There's no doubt about that. All right, speaking of great stuff, I need to tell you all about PrizePicks this morning. It's May. The weather's perfect. Everything's rolling. PrizePicks adds a lot more fun to your favorite sports. Now every possession matters, every shot, every pitch. You're locked in from start to finish. You're not just watching anymore. You got a little juice in it. And the best part is it's easy. There's no deep dives, no complicated nonsense. You just pick more or less on player stats. That's it. Points, rebounds, hits, strikeouts, whatever you're already watching. You build your lineup, you submit it, and you're good. Takes maybe a minute. And you got options everywhere as well. Basketball includes NBA, WNBA, baseball, hockey, golf, whatever it may be. You pick whatever's on, it fits. And let's see here. Today, guys, we had a good weekend, by the way, but today we are going to take George Kirby, the Seattle pitcher, to have more than 3.5 strikeouts. He's only had less than 5 one time this season, and he's done very well on the mound. And we're also taking Orioles infielder Gunnar Henderson to have more than half a total base. Henderson been very hot lately, racked up 6 in his last 4 games. So that's the play for today. And that's what you do. You trust your gut, you lock it in, and now every single moment means something. PrizePicks available in all 50 states, including right here in Texas. Download the app, use code HMA, play $5. They're going to give you $50 in lineups instantly. Code HMA, 5 gets you 50. Simple as that. As always, play smart, play responsibly, play PrizePicks. All right. Well, we got some super chats that we're going to get to. We also got a few other topics. I want to knock out a couple of these super chats real quick. So we have Drew Lockhart here. He says, happy birthday, Jerry. Healthy and doing what you love to do. Congrats, my friend. Hook 'em.
Healthy is relative, I guess. But yes, I'm going to see Tyler Alexander later today at Palm Beach Central, the 4-star plus defensive tackle that is a Texas, Florida, Georgia battle. And then I'm going to go see Reed Ramsey in Orlando tomorrow. So, yeah, doing what I love, that for sure.
I
being on the road is the absolute best part.
So I gotta tell on you a little bit here, Jerry. So everybody can tell if you're watching this podcast or videocast, you can tell Jerry's a little red in the face today. I asked Jerry what he did yesterday for his birthday. You know, he said he walked 15 miles in the Florida sun. That's what he did. And then when he got tired, he said he He sat on the beach.
Yeah. Yeah. That was over a 24-hour period. It's the first, it finally got hot in South Florida. Apparently this was the first really hot week. So, yeah, I got here on the wrong week, but yes. But I used to, when I lived down here, I used to wake up every morning and cycle 15 miles or walk 5.5, 6 miles. That's how I started every day down here around and do the sunrise walk or sunrise bike ride. So I had to do it again. There was no way I was going to be in South Florida and not do that. But then I went a little crazy as usual.
We got some other birthday wishes for you. This one from Rocky P. He says, "Happy birthday, Jerry. Not a 5-star, but a 4-star plus.
Right.
Asterisk.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Hope you all had corn dogs, or hope you had all the corn dogs with mayo yesterday."
I had none. I told Rod, you get kicked out of Jupiter, Florida for eating corn dogs with mayo. So that's a Texas thing for me.
And then one other one for you, Jerry. Not birthday wishes, but a question for you from Bald Father Bet. Says, "Jerry, I've heard you associate local pressure with LSU and Louisiana more than any other school/state. Is it harassment, financial? Can you explain a little bit?"
No, I don't think it's anything. I mean, nothing nefarious, illegal things, I mean.
Well, financial used to be. I mean, they had a whole hospital system in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, look, a lot of people got really, really good jobs for their kids to stay home, but that's in a lot of SEC states, by the way. I don't want to limit that to one state, because you heard about that a lot, but there's so much. You just go to high schools down there. Bobby's done it too. You just feel the LSU pressure. I mean, 95% of people, that is one state that hasn't changed. 95% of people think kids should go to LSU in that state. So that adds more. You constantly hear it. 9 out of every 10 friends are LSU people in Louisiana. If you have your parent, 9 out of every 10 fans is 9 out of every 10 friends is an LSU fan. I mean, so you constantly hear it, and they probably have recruits that stay home that put pressure on kids more than any other state I've covered. But what does it mean in the NIL day and age? I don't know. Kids are more worldly now, college worldly. I don't know if it means as much anymore, Bobby, but this is a scenario like Leonard Fournette, who they got, Landon Collins, who they didn't get. I'm thinking of some South Florida guys that were that big of recruits. Easton Royal's in that group, and LSU gets most of them, but they don't get all of them. So we'll see. Is he Leonard Fournette or is he Landon Collins?
I will say this, as it relates to LSU, what I have found through the years is that, first of all, it's a one-horse town.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean that in the proverbial sense of a town. It's a one-horse state. There is Louisiana Tech, Louisiana Lafayette. There's not another school in that state that plays in the major conference level. So there's not Ole Miss and Mississippi State like there is in Mississippi, or Alabama and Auburn in that state, or Texas A&M, et cetera, in the state of Texas. Even Oklahoma has Oklahoma State, right, that plays in a major conference. LSU is the one southern state that doesn't have a true number 2 other than Arkansas, and Arkansas doesn't produce enough players.
Yeah.
So Louisiana is a major producer of college football talent, and I think that they have had success historically. We've mentioned this before. 3 of their coaches have won national championships, and 2 of the 3 got fired.
Yeah.
So they've had success. And I think that has kind of blossomed. There was a time when maybe not all of them went to LSU, but in the last 30 years, since Nick Saban got there, I really sensed a tide turned, particularly in the city of New Orleans. New Orleans guys used to go anywhere and everywhere. Miami, A&M, Alabama, anywhere. When New Orleans turned, that was behind Nick Saban, and when that happened, it happened. Yeah, Darren McFadden is from Little Rock, but that's the state of Arkansas does not have as many players, near as many.
And there's also a distinguish that needs to be made. I-20 much different than I-10 too. if you're in Shreveport, Monroe, those kids leave the state at a little higher rate. The really, really good ones, especially when Nick was at Alabama. Maybe it's a Nick Saban thing. We'll find out in the next few years. But on South, BR, New Orleans, anywhere in there, those are the ones. And Champ Bailey said Arch didn't go to LSU. None of the Mannings were going to LSU. So that one, you throw that one out. That's the one where you throw out. But that is Bobby was right. Ed Reed went to Miami. LSU didn't think Ed Reed was good enough, by the way. LSU didn't have Ed Reed high on the board. I heard Ed Reed's story. We ran his camp, and that was a pretty amazing story. But that was more FSU in Miami, from what I remember from his story there. But the I-10 is that corridor where kids have a lot. But look, I'm not saying Eastern Royal is going to LSU. I was just answering the question. You're gonna face the pressure down there, but Texas is recruiting the right players. Monshun Sales has pressure to go to Indiana right now because of what Indiana did last. You're recruiting the right players. So that's the way I look at all this. It's going to be messy. It's going to be tough. Gird up your loins, but you're recruiting the right players. I mean, look, I'm going to see Tyler Alexander later. He is at Palm Beach Central in Wellington, Florida. And it's Florida, Georgia, and Texas. You're recruiting the right players. And it's going to be difficult. But in Eastern Roll is going to be really difficult because I think that what's so fascinating about Easton's recruitment, I said last night, it's Lane Kiffin's first year. He's an offensive guy. Look, if it was a defensive guy that was high, if Les Miles was just hired at LSU, yes, there would be an expectation to get him, but it's Lane Kiffin's first year. And he's the offensive guru coming into LSU. And this is the fastest kid that's been a really good football player in the state in a long time. There's a different pressure on this one for Lane.
Well, Jerry, we got one more super chat for you that just came in from Coach Steve Sarcasm. He said, have a couple of corn dogs on him.
Yeah, I will. My next corn dog may be if Easton Royal announces he's sticking with Texas after the May and June visits. Bobby may have to break out a corn dog for that one. Bobby likes fast players now.
I do like fast
players.
Come
on, Bobby.
Putting the pressure on
Bobby.
Fast players change games, Jerry Hamilton.
No.
Even when you're not as good. Always been the case. Speed kills.
Yeah. Art Briles made a Baylor team really good because of it.
That's right.
All right, Matt Hanley here with the super chat says, good morning, gentlemen. You may have touched on it already, but any thoughts to Arkansas killing tennis? Do you think this is the first of many non-revenue sports getting cut?
I think it's, for those unaware, Arkansas canceled their men's and women's tennis program in response, I think, to NIL, in response to growing revenue cuts. It hasn't been an epidemic, though. I mean, people are saying, oh, now that we have NIL, I mean, what, like 10 programs around the country out of 130 schools have been cut? I don't know that that's actually functionally any different than what it would have been had there been no NIL.
Yeah.
That's my thought process on that. I feel like until it's an epidemic, I don't see it that way. Some of these schools just reconfigure their budgets, and frankly, I'm not a Cody Campbell believer in this kind of conversation of everybody needs a tennis team, everybody needs a soccer team, everybody needs a polo team, or whatever it is. I'm not against those sports, but if football carries the weight for 90% of college sports, okay, you can't begrudge it. You can still go to a smaller school and play tennis. You don't have to go to a SEC school. You can still go to Lehigh or, go get any of these schools. I think that the idea that major college sports needs to focus on those is where I believe Cody Campbell and his ilk with the Presidential Commission are misplaced. Those opportunities don't necessarily need to exist at the top schools, because those players are not, by and large, going on to play professional sports. They just don't. They're not. So I feel a little bit different about Arkansas and tennis. If those guys will go find a place, they can go play at Trinity in San Antonio. Go play it wherever. I just don't think that football should have to bear the weight of every other sport ad infinitum. And so if your school can't handle that financially, your school can't handle that financially. You have to choose who you want to be. Texas has chosen and Texas has the opportunity to be everything because they have the financial support and the fandom that drives it. Other schools aren't like that. And they don't have to be like, we don't need to, legislate that everybody's equal. That's just not the way it should be, in my opinion.
And I mean, I think we're moving closer and closer to being pros. I mean, that's what we're doing here, right?
They are. No. We're not moving closer and closer. College football is a professional sport at some level.
Yeah. I mean, college sports in general with NIL. So it's like there's not going to be enough support for all these sports at all these institutions as we move closer to being pros, essentially. With
not from an NIL perspective.
No chance. No chance.
But nobody's asking for women's rowing to get NIL.
Not yet.
Well, if they do, you have a decision to make.
Yeah.
We're going to get to some more of y'all's questions here in just a moment. But first, we need to tell you about a couple more sponsors. Jerry, I'll let you start with Vaughn Lane.
I can do that. Stop playing the airline game. Let me ask you something. When did flying become a game of how much extra can we charge you? Seat assignments, extra bags, extra. A little leg room, you guessed it, that's extra too. Some airlines don't even give you a seat assignment on their lowest fare until you check in. And if you want to choose where to sit, you'll be paying $80 or more for that ticket. It's exhausting, isn't it? That's why I want to tell you about Vaughn Lane. No hidden fees, no check bag charges, no TSA. You board at a private hotel terminal, take your seat in the first class cabin with only 22 seats, and everything is included. Wi-Fi, snacks, drinks, hot towel service, and complimentary meals on select trips. Plus, Vaughn Lane runs on Starlink internet, so you actually get your work done or stream something without the spinning wheel of death you get on an airplane. They've also added more departures between Houston and San Antonio and between Fort Worth and Austin, giving you even more flexibility. Vaughn Lane connects Austin, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Fort Worth, Plano, the Woodlands, Nashville, Memphis, Atlanta, and Knoxville. Head to VaughnLane.com and enter OTF26 at checkout for $20 off your first ride. What is Vaughn Lane? It's elevated, and elegant regional travel.
I like how you mixed elevated is elevated.
I like it. That's a new word.
I like it.
Elevated.
Elevate and elevate.
Elevated.
I know, elevated and elegant. Sorry.
Elegated. Keep that one, chat. Store that one.
We need it. That needs to make it into the lexicon.
Store that one.
Elegated.
All right. Well, I'm going to tell you all about HexClad. Man, I love me some HexClad pans. They are phenomenal. And listen up. Spring cleaning is here. Before you pretend your kitchen is fine, go look at that pan you've been using since college. If it's warped, scratched up, burnt, or maybe smells like bad decisions, it's time to upgrade. That's why I'm a big fan of HexClad. These pans are legit. They give you the sear and heat control you want from stainless steel, but with easy cleanup of non-stick. And that's the part that got me. You can actually cook with them, get great results, and then you're not standing over the sink for 20 minutes trying to scrape everything off. And you don't have to baby them. HexClad is metal utensil safe. It's dishwasher safe, oven safe, up to 900 degrees. And the stay cool handles are a big deal when you're moving fast in the kitchen. Plus, every HexClad product comes with a lifetime warranty, so you'll never have to buy pans again. There's a reason Gordon Ramsay uses HexClad at both his home and in his restaurants. The secret is out. HexClad has over 1 million customers and more than 50,000 five-star reviews. They seriously are the best pans. So don't go through another spring using the same busted pans you should have thrown out years ago. For a limited amount of time, our listeners get 10% off with our exclusive link. Just go to hexclad.com/ontexas. Again, support the show. Check them out at Hexclad. That's HEXCLAD.com/on Texas. Spring clean your kitchen the smart way with Hexclad.
It's also alligated.
They're phenomenal. They're
Steve Sarcasm, Florida alligators. That's pretty good. By the way, on Instagram, there's this guy named Gator Chris, nothing to do with Florida Gators. You got to go look at this guy, what his life is. Gator Chris on Instagram. That just made me think of it. It's worth your time. Trust me, everybody.
Right.
Jenny Burton's on it right now. I guarantee you.
It's a monitor now already. I'll go ahead and tell you. So we need to talk a little recruiting. A new offer went out yesterday evening, Jerry. I'm going to let you tell folks about that while I look at Gator Chris.
Yeah, Blake may have watched this guy grow up. Caleb Seiler from Gunter High, 6'8", 290.
Literally, by the way, at 6'8".
Right. Literally, this is one of your late developers in high school recruiting. He still crosses his feet in pass pro. He's a very raw prospect. He made an official visit to Northwestern last weekend. He's been out to UCLA. He's been to Arkansas. He's been to Nebraska. I think he's got an OV coming to Nebraska. Texas had him down in the spring to take a look at him. Then Kyle Flood went and took a look at him and offered him. And look, he has some things you can't teach. I mean, he is a big guy, and he has got good feet. He's just learning how to use his feet and growing into his feet. So he's a down the line guy, Bobby. But I mean, there aren't many guys that are 6'8", legitimately 290 who can get in their stance like that and have hip flexibility. And you got to build the rest of it around it. But he's a guy that I think a lot of colleges are really liking this from January through this spring when they go see him because of that upside and how he's developing.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit he is definitely a work in progress, Jerry. Smaller school player overall, but has the kind of build that you want to put on. One of the things I wrote about at On Texas Football this morning was actually a different take a little bit on this. And that's that of all the positions that you could possibly pick to develop in college, offensive line is the preeminent one. Now, I'm not talking about quarterback because some people would say that as well, but they want them there longer is what my understanding is from talking to some folks behind the scenes. They want to know they don't want to know just physically and mentally your development. They really want to know, one of the key things they think on the offensive line is, can we rely on you?
Yeah.
Right. And you can't necessarily see that when you go to the portal on players. You can't tell as easy on film from an offensive line perspective whether or not you can really rely on somebody. You have to have them inside your program to know that. And I think that's so as they go to guys that are developmental prospects like Mr. Seiler here, I think that's something that we need to take into consideration for offensive line.
By the way, there's two things from this video. Gunter had a huge offensive line for a small school football team.
Yeah,
look at the size of those guys. And two, the fact that he can sit in his stance with his hips flat back at 6'8", 290 as a 16, 17-year-old kid gives him a chance.
Yep.
That is actually a hard thing to do if you're 6'8", 290. Is to sit in your hips like that and sit flat back in a three-point stance. You see guys that are 6'5" that can't do that. So he has got really good flexibility, ankle flexion, hip flexibility, back flexibility. He's got all those things you're looking for. That he's a ball of clay that's going to need a lot of molding. Yes, and he's very smart. He was a Northwestern, UCLA, same thing. Some of those schools that are recruiting him. Yeah, he's an academic kid.
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
Chris McDonald said that line's unfair at small school football. Yes, I would agree with that. That is about as big as you'll see at that level.
You mentioned academics. He's supposed to be a top 10 guy in his high school class academically. Yeah. So,
yeah, that's a 3A school, which old school was 2A. So think about when all of us came out of high school. This is a 2A offensive line.
Yeah. Something tells me like Texas would have a chance over Nebraska on this one.
Yeah. UCLA and Northwestern are your comp.
Yeah.
Hey, Bobby, we were talking about it last night, and I'm going to go through some of the my stops, but yes, Ryan Day's son did just commit to Northwestern yesterday. I think he was on a visit over the weekend with Caleb Seiler, I guess. Or no, Seiler was the week before. But UCLA emerging is going to be interesting in California recruiting moving forward. UCLA is now emerging quickly in California. They are winning battles in California. I think somebody put some NIL juice behind that program suddenly.
They're probably finally using NIL.
Oh, yeah. Now that's going to be interesting to see if California gets if Chesney has success right out of the gate. And when success is relative, he goes and wins 7 games. That's success based on recent years at UCLA. That recruiting in California can get a little more dicey. Schools will still get their guys; they'll go in, but it may be a little tougher if USC and UCLA are both winning out there enough. That'll be something to follow. From recruiting, I didn't talk about it one on Friday. I know Hank talked about a little bit of it. I spent some time with Jabaris Garor at Viger, and we're going to have a video interview with him later and Mitchell Turner from Louisville, Mississippi. I think Texas and Miami were the top two. He made an official visit to Georgia this weekend. I haven't heard anything about that at this point. He just happened over the weekend. But I think Texas and Miami are the top 2. Just my opinion from talking to people. Not anything Jabaris was going to say off the record or anything. I do think A&M's fading fast in that recruitment. We'll see if they can get back in it. But I think Texas and Miami are out in front. And I think Georgia, see what happens off that OV. Obviously, they'll be a threat. Then Auburn and Florida State are going to try to keep him home. But I think he had a great visit to Texas. Not good, great. And I think his people, the circle that went with him, really liked Texas as well. And then I think Miami had a great visit there. Jason Taylor, obviously a big part of that recruitment. And with the 2 first-rounders they just had and Jason Taylor coaching them, that is a pretty good pitch. Also, what it tells you is academic side. And I've said this before about Garor. Academics actually aren't speak. They matter in that recruitment. And I think that's another reason why Texas and Miami are maybe ascending a little bit. But we'll see what happens. Long way to go with all these guys. It's just now getting started with the OV process and through June. But I thought Texas was doing pretty well there. We have a super chat about Mandarin High School, and that'll lead me into I saw one of the top 10 players in 2028, Bryson Wright, the receiver at Mandarin, who I think is a tremendous football player. He's going to be like one of those guys that Rod and I were talking about last night, who he's going to run 4.45, but he's just a tremendous football player. He's 6'3", 6'4", 6'4", 195. Ron Garza said, did Jamie French go to Jacksonville Mandarin? Yes, he did. That's why I saw Bryce Wright for the first time as a freshman. With Jamie did not negatively recruit. The Mandarin coaching staff has not said a negative word about Texas. And these recruitments also were different nowadays. I mean, these are NIL's a bigger part of these recruitments than anything. So I just don't think that factors in much anymore. But I can tell you, I was at the school Friday, and Jamie French has been by the school. He has nothing negative to say about Texas. And then Mandarin staff, nothing negative to say about Texas. Chris Jackson was at the school actually Thursday, the day before I was there. Bryson Wright's a stud, guys. He's a stud football player. And he will be one of the top probably 15, 20 guys in the country in that class. Is Texas going to go heavy on Wright? Texas will be in there on Bryson Wright. I'll be shocked if there's a receiver higher on the board in 2028 than Bryson Wright. And Texas will be right there with Florida, Miami. His high school quarterback, same class going to Miami. That you don't go to Miami because of that, but Miami will be in it. And Ohio State and LSU and Texas. Those are going to be your 5, I think. Somebody else will probably get in there. Somebody will not make the final list. But I think right now, Texas is right there with those schools. I think they're very much in it.
And I've seen this asked a couple of times, so let's just go ahead and address it, or I'll let you address it, Jerry. How does all the buzz about Royal and Sells compare to all the buzz that surrounded French and Lockett?
Different category.
Yeah, they're higher level players.
So
prospects.
Look, French and Lockett were, according to some, were borderline 5 stars. Some of them had them in 4 stars, etc. Royal and Sales are both considered top 5, top 10 players overall in the country.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, Kalik Lockett and Jamie French never ran a 10-1-7 100 meter.
No.
Kalik Lockett and Jamie French were never 6'5",
running 10-6,
running 10-600 meter like Monshawn Sales does. So I think that, and this is a good question because it talks about the relative strength of a recruiting class or who you're recruiting, if that makes sense. So you want to, if you're going to spend NIL heavy in high school, and Texas believes in this, you need to go after the right guys. You don't want dead money guys that come in and may not play as true freshmen. Look, Kalik Lockett did not play much. Jamie French did not play much. Doesn't mean they're not going to be good players wherever they're at.
Yeah.
Kalik Lockett obviously stayed. Jamie French now at Michigan. What it means, though, is that money could have been spent better elsewhere. In the case of Royal and Sales, you're not going to have that opportunity to attract those players unless you think that they have a chance to play right away for your team because they are that good. And financially, they're going to be that expensive.
Yeah.
It's just a different category of player. And that's taking nothing away from Kalik Lockett or Jamie French. They were ranked that way. People just don't understand that there's that chasm of difference.
And I think one thing that is missed because of all the portal nowadays, and it was the talk after the NFL draft, 48% of the guys were transfer portal guys that were taken in the NFL draft. But what's missed in all this, over 2/3 or right around 2/3 of the first round were high school guys that signed with the schools and then they were drafted from the same school that they signed with. Those guys are still at the top of the list, and they will continue to be at the top of the list. They're going to have the most guys go in the first round. Your Colin Simmons of the world, all those guys that are ranked really highly. Dylan Stewart. Think about the guys in this class. Jeremiah Smith coming up. How many the high schools they sign with are where they're going to be drafted from in the first round. Those guys are still number one, and you have to have them in your program. You have to, because those become your highest draft picks a very high percentage of the time. And I don't think that's going to change. I'll be surprised if we ever see a day where around 2/3 of the first round aren't guys that they signed with the college and they got drafted out of the same college, because those are your top guys.
Well, I will say this. Another part on Friday, the College Football Commission that President Trump tried to congregate in the state, in the nation's capital, they put out a list of thoughts for future governance. One of the pieces that they added to the legislation or proposal is what they call the Bird Rule, the Larry Bird Rule. It's in the NBA, where if you sign a player, there's actually some advantages inherent in him staying with your team long term. Okay. It's funny to me because you see Texas Tech right now spending a lot of money in high school. Imagine that they're trying to do that while still proposing this rule through Cody Campbell. So I just want to say that, it's one of the reasons why I just feel some of what's going on behind the scenes and the jockeying is disingenuous from some of the key players. If you're going to be in that position, you need to be out of that. Otherwise, it gives your team an unfair advantage. And I think that there's a little bit of that going on right now at Texas Tech, because they're trying to implement the Bird Rule while also trying to get some high school players in the door sooner. And just little things like that irk me, because I think that some folks are trying to change college sports, and I'm not sure that they say their heart's in the right place, and I don't necessarily agree with them. I think it's in the right place for their school.
Yeah. I think we need to stop calling it college sports, but that's just me.
It is. I mean, they're going to school. I mean, I'm not worried about college sports. I'm not worried about the name of it. I'm more worried about how we corral it, manage it, administrate it. That's the key right now. How do we take what we have, which is a tremendous product, and create the best for it? It's not by pooling rights of Texas should not pool rights with Wake Forest. I'm sorry. Texas should not pool rights with, they shouldn't pool rights with, I don't know, Kansas State. It's just not the same. It's two different categories. They shouldn't pool rights with Texas Tech. So that's my opinion.
All right. Well, before we get to our last question or two of the day, I'm going to let you tell everyone about Longhorn Wealth Management Group one last time.
I can do it. Thanks to our sponsor, John Donovan, President, Longhorn Wealth Management. John's a proud Texas Exes Life member. He served on the Dallas board for 15 years and has now spent the last 4 years helping lead and support the growth of the new Collin County Texas Exes chapter. John also consistently serves his fellow Longhorns as a certified financial planner and the founder of the Longhorn Wealth Management Group. John wants to remind everyone that May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and because research is proving that financial wellness is a critical component to both mental and physical wellness, he wants to encourage all OTF fans to take advantage of an opportunity to schedule a free private financial consultation with John to allow him to show you how working with a certified financial planner can help you maximize your wealth, minimize your taxes, and ensure your legacy, all of which will improve your financial wellness and, in turn, your mental and physical wellness. It really is tied together. So please make the time now to schedule your own free private consultation with John by either calling Longhorn Wealth at 972-707-4900 or scheduling online www.longhornwealth.net. John wishes everyone the best of mental health, and he sends a huge Longhorn 100 winner hook'em to all the OTF family.
Okay, well, as I said, we got time for just one or two more questions. Here we go. From Terrence Jones, a super chat he just put in. Thank you, Terrence. Bobby and Jerry, quick question. Why is it Cedric Benson hasn't gotten the recognition I believe he deserves? He's the only Texas running back to ever have 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons.
Well, he's got it from me.
Yeah, he's in the Hall of Honor. But Terrence, I do agree with this on Cedric Benson. I think because he wasn't a wow,
not the flashiness. He lacked flashiness.
He is underrated.
Yep.
In Texas history. Cedric Benson is everything that wins football games. And he did it in a physical play after play, whether it was pass pro, whether it was catching a football, and his first move was power and physical. Everything he did, high school too, was straight physicality, was straight toughness, was straight grit. He personified to me a winner in football. That is what if you drew up players and said, if I can have 10 out of my starting 11 play the way Cedric Benson plays at their position, that's what you would do.
And not necessarily be the fastest.
Yep.
I think that's when people talk about great running backs at Texas these days, they talk about Earl Campbell, they talk about Ricky Williams, maybe they mentioned Jamal Charles, Bijan Robinson. Almost all of those guys had some wow factor to them. I actually think Ricky and Cedric were somewhat similar in that Ricky wasn't ever the fastest. He was really fast. He was big, though.
Yeah.
Cedric Benson was one of you talk about in the annals of Texas football.
Yeah.
Who are guys? He was certainly one. I think Deontay Foreman's underrated, but he didn't have the career that Cedric Benson did.
Yeah.
And I will say this. Cedric Benson joined Texas at a time when Mack Brown was really trying to cement his hold on Texas football, or on the state of Texas football in the college level. And Cedric Benson was one of those guys that allowed him to do that, along with Roy Williams, both of Mountain West Texas. Terrence, got to be honest with you. Maybe he gets too little love from some folks, but I want to say this. I hold him in a reverence that I think is very, very due. But to Jerry's point, it's probably because he didn't do the wow things. He made a guy miss in the hole. He leaned forward for an extra yard after every contact. but maybe he didn't have the 80-yard run.
He didn't have 2 spin moves and 3 juke moves and go 80, right? He wasn't, though his plays weren't going to show up on Sports Center.
That's a good way to put it.
But you know what? 3 state championships in 4,000-yard seasons in college.
Yeah.
That he was tremendous football player. Now, you know, and the other amazing thing about him as an athlete, I always said, he was always healthy in high school and college, and he carried it a lot. And he took a lot of hits and initiated even more hits. Like, he was pretty healthy for as much contact as he played through from 15, 16 years on to the NFL.
I was going to say he played through a lot of hurt.
Yeah.
That's a fair assessment.
He had that winning football. That's the guy. You would say, I would bet you anything when he was at Texas, there were coaches saying, I wish a couple of our linebackers would hit as hard as Cedric Benson does on every single play.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football presented by Longhorn Wealth Management Group. We want to thank them, along with Ridge, Hexclad, Von Lane, and PrizePicks, all for this, sponsoring today's show. Of course, thank you all for tuning in as well. Shout out to Marcus Myers for joining us like he does every Monday. Bobby, what's later?
We got a couple of other videos coming out. Jerry, Rod, and I are going to talk about some players that we think were underrated so far in Steve Sarkisian's tenure at Texas. I'm going to be interested to hear what Jerry and Rod think. I have a certain proclivity to one player that I think kind of changed Texas under Sark. But we'll talk about that. We also have the live stream. We have a couple of news and notes. Hank South's got the message boards and some content over on Texas football for you guys as well. So please join us over there if you would. That was hopping this weekend, Jerry, with your little you're on the road commentary. I loved it. If you didn't see Jerry and the guy in the A&M shirt this weekend, make sure you go check
it was an A&M cycling outfit in South Florida. That was a first for me.
It takes all kinds, Jerry.
Yeah,
Never
that was a
do a
first
moment with Jerry.
No. By the way, we're scheduled to have former Texas corner Ryan Palmer on the show in the morning. So we'll talk about his time at Texas, his recruitment out of Arlington Bowie, obviously his time at the University of Texas, which he was a lot of wins at Texas, a lot of wins. So it'll be good to catch up with Ryan Palmer, see what he's up to, get his thoughts on. He was at Texas Spring Showcase. He goes to a lot of Texas games.
Yep, we got him on Tuesday, and then Texas baseball head coach Jim Schlossnagle joining us on Wednesday. So it's an action-packed week on Coffee and Football. Well, we hope you all have an amazing day today. We'll be back tomorrow morning. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you then.